Pledge allegiance. I, United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call shows that all are present. Conflict of interest, there's not much on the agenda. I don't see any conflicts out there. Everybody okay with that? How about the consent agenda? We have a motion to approve that. Cindy?
Second.
All those in favor? We have our regular minutes from our last meeting on January 13th. Motion to approve those.
Move to approve.
Any comments on them? No? All those in favor? All right, then we have two sets of minutes from candidate interviews. First was January 16th. Motion on that.
Move to approve.
Second. All those in favor? Pretty easy to write up. And then the second interview was on January 22nd.
Move to approve.
Excellent.
Second.
All those in favor? With that. Move on to the Board of Assessors. We have several wastewater abatements before us. Anybody have any questions on those? Go ahead.
Yeah, just that larger one. What is that?
I think it's a pipe burst.
Yeah, there was one that had, two were metering issues.
Yeah, it's a pipe burst.
And yeah, the big one was, those were all like pocket change, the metering issues. The first pipe was almost $2,400.
Okay. No, the pipe burst, so nothing went into the.
Right. Something cruel and unusual punishment to penalize someone for that after they have to pay the plumber to fix it.
Yeah, I think.
All right, so we need a
Because
motion.
the first pipe was after the meter.
Yeah.
Not before.
Yeah.
So the staff will go out and look at where the leak was and see whether there was any drains, where it could have drained into the system, whether it would have gone out onto like a gravel, basement or outside if it was a mobile home or something like that. So they confirm that we don't get water on these cases.
Oh,
So we need one motion to cover all three, and the motion is just to approve the request as recommended. Thank you.
Second.
Second by Steve. All those in favor? We don't have a public hearing this evening. We do have an open session for the public, and we're actually speaking from the public here. So, anybody needs to comment? Amanda, you look like you have something. Okay.
Missed the last meeting because I ended up in a call. I got.
You're excused.
I got a call this morning. We are closing on Friday on the building.
Okay.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's a huge win. The attorneys are still working on the endowment portion of it, but we're moving forward with the facility side. We are still waiting on our 501c3 status. So I reached out to Chad Perkins again today. The contact that we had kind of stopped communicating with us. So until we're able to get that status, we have to pay a mortgage only interest back to Old Town Orono because they cannot gift us the building until we have our 501c3 status. So hoping that we can push that along as quickly as possible, not to have that happen. February 4th, I'm going to meet with the Penobscot County Commissioners. We've been pulling numbers together for them and what my other town asks are for your ask and then the Piscataquis County. I did want to say, I meant to come to the last meeting for one purpose, and just to say how grateful I am to the Water District for doing their loss report on the facility. We lost 260,000 gallons of water into the building, and the Water District called, they caught it, no one else called it. No one here was allowed in the building, so just a huge shout out to
Where's
them.
that water going?
So a lot of it was in the hallway, a lot of it ran out the machine room doors, and I was told there's a lot of it back in the pool. So I don't know, I haven't, still not allowed in the facility till Friday. This coming Thursday, so in 2 days, 3 days, we do have a board meeting, so we're gonna discuss what the reopening looks like. the kind of preliminary thoughts on that, or Friday, if we get keys early enough, we'll go in there and just kind of start cleaning things out, especially where the stuff that was wet out in the back room. And then next week, just kind of be like soft open, so we'll have our fitness classes in the gym. And then I'll be in there with as many volunteers as I can, painting and cleaning and pressure washing and all of that all next week, with a full open the following week. Hoping to get Chapley's and product development in there next week as well, so that we can really kind of assess where the pool's at. The goal for that is the beginning of March. It's really gonna depend on what that looks like. The state has not sent back our pool license yet, so I don't know if we'll need a new inspection with that. I did request just a name change because I was the CPO on the old license and I'll continue to be the CPO, so nothing technically changed there. So hopefully we can just do a name change and we can move forward with what we have, knowing that we do have some upgrades that we have to meet there. And then I do have a question. I don't know if the board question or if you can direct me to who. So we're doing our Waves of Giving. It's going to be our annual campaign this year. We're doing that on March 28th. Central Hall has generously donated the space to us. We're going to have catering from Just Catering come. And I'm trying to figure out the liquor. Like, do I get a liquor license? Or do I have Just Catering, like, do that? Is that a town thing? Is that a state thing?
Yeah, we'd issue a license for that to happen. And so you could, probably start with Julie.
Okay.
And, just get the right form off the state's website, and then we could take it from there.
Okay.
But not the liquor license.
Well, so whoever's going to be serving the alcohol.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It helps if you have a vendor providing that service. They typically have a license. It's
Right.
easier to do that than get your own license for
For the
events
event.
that you seldom
Yep.
need that.
Yeah, this would be the only one, so.
Not gonna go to the liquor business.
Not anytime soon.
Yeah.
Occasional drink would be helpful.
Business model.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the pool, I mean, they have that down in the.
Margaritas and swim, yeah, swim.
We're getting off topic, isn't it?
I think that Jeff's Catering did the economic development
Yes.
dinner.
Yeah.
And they got their own bartenders.
Yeah, he said that was an option. I just wasn't sure if I was supposed to do something with the town or licensing or what I was supposed to do, so.
Yeah, so yeah, just contact, our town office boy.
I think it starts with which way you wanna go. If you wanna go with Jeff's Catering, then they would just get permitted for that event here. If you wanted someone else, then you say they have a liquor license around here, you would just get an off premise. And they would be set up. So once you know which way you wanna go, that the vendor who's gonna do it will get permitted.
Okay, thank you.
And we're holding the rest of our funds for you for this fiscal year until you get that nonprofit status. So if you can do that, just put in the
Awesome.
request and the money will flow in your direction.
Thank
And
you.
we are putting our budget together, so you said you're working on an ask for the next fiscal year.
Yeah, I talked with Jack the other day. We worked through doing more of a per capita ask so that it's
Right, and we've got that number plugged in as a placeholder right now.
perfect.
And it's more than you got,
Yes,
Step up our-
significantly.
step up our contribution.
Yeah, I'm curious if you've asked another nonprofit to be your fiscal agent until you get your status, because you can do that.
And so we tried with the PCEDC, but they hold a different nonprofit status than we do, so they weren't able to do it. And I think the only thing really that's kind of in limbo right now is just getting the building transferred, so I'm not sure what the steps are and how convoluted it gets to do it. But we're hoping that we can push it. We've already been 3 months and the timeline says 3 to 6 months. So I'm figuring like worst case scenario is 3 more months.
Yeah, I saw last week.
Yeah, I was just gonna comment, Central Hawkins.
Yeah.
Okay,
They
okay.
do that for a lot of nonprofits.
Is it 501c3? Because I think that was the
Yeah,
PCEDC
yeah.
was a
And
different.
they could be your fiscal sponsor for a period of time if you want.
Okay, I'll talk to Jason, have him talk to the
Check
attorney.
with them.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, because that would kind of take care of that status in the meantime.
Yeah, and it's like, I think it'll be like $1,500 to $2,000 a month that we have to pay. Like 4.3% was the lowest that the federal government will allow. So we have to pay that minimum. I think they valued it just as a quick, like $500,000.
We should work with Central Hall and get that, have them be your fiscal sponsor.
Okay, thank you.
Tara, first
Tara,
we'll talk to them.
Yeah, well,
Tara?
Tara did that for Center Theater once, it was restarted, so. I know it's a way for nonprofits to get each other out.
Okay, yeah, because we've applied for, it. We should send everything we're supposed to send in, it's just,
Yeah, it takes time, you know, the period of bureaucracy has to take
yeah.
time. Welcome to our world.
Perfect, well, thank you, that's all I have.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
could
no,
you
you're good.
repeat the ways of giving?
Yeah, it's gonna be on March 28th, it's a Friday, the last Friday in March.
Yep, and the time on it?
It'll go from 5 to 9.
5 to 9, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Could you go over the water problem again? What happened?
Yeah, so, I got a call from the water district and they said that we'd lost like 35 cubic feet or something of water. I did like quick Google, I'm like, I don't know what that means. It was 265,000 gallons of water. We had a broken pipe in the hallway by the climbing hall. Water was just pouring out of the machine room doors. So luckily the water district called me or we wouldn't have ever known. She sent Justin over immediately. He said the back door was unlocked. I said, tell him to go in. So he went in, shut the water off. Robinsons had made it there and repaired the broken pipes before anybody from Old Town had shown up. So that was taken care of. It was a hot water pipe, in that hallway. They said that a piece of insulation up above had fallen down. So the boilers had been cranking and the water district said they wouldn't have noticed it because the windows didn't steam up, I guess. And typically if there's a broken pipe in the winter, the windows steam up pretty bad. But where it was hot water, it didn't. There's a lot of water.
Oh, so.
Yeah, it's always so.
Oh. Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other public comments?
Just a question.
Yes, sir. Yep.
When will the budget committee meeting start this year?
It's typically, it's early March.
Each week in March.
Typically there's four meetings in March, a public hearing at the end, but
4 meetings with the committee and then the public hearing, will be the 5th one, probably the first week of April. I think this house is gonna work out.
yeah, we're pulling our draft budget together. All the committees of the board have met. When that can be done before you walk out the door at the end of the week, right?
Finishing up as we speak.
Any other questions or comments from the public?
Charles Piazza, has there ever been a welcome wagon group established in the town to reach out to new residents of Dover?
The Chamber of Commerce did something for that in the old days. I don't know if they're still doing it. Anybody else have any ideas?
Well, currently, every January, there's a letter that goes from the town to new residents. Kind of gives a highlight of different resources. There's a brochure that's included, the website, et cetera, so.
I guess Cheryl and I never got one when we got here permanently 2 years ago, but I reached out to Denise and I said, if you need volunteers for welcome wagons, I was willing to do it. And so let that ball sit in her court. And I learned from the landfill that 40 new permits were issued to new residents. So that's almost a new family every week coming into Dover, which is good news. I was happy to hear that. I kind of have a thing for Joel Vale since he's a main guide. We have a business park and there's an agricultural building over there. I wonder what the possibility is of having a satellite wilderness guide training facility that's sanctioned by the state to, get people towards a guide certificate.
I'll connect with you on that because that's come up a couple times, but
Okay.
I'll let you know kind of where the state is with that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Other comments, questions, remarks? Okay, hearing none, we'll close the public comment session. Move on to open session for select board members. What's on your mind, folks?
Go ahead, Emery.
No, I think I'm kind of quiet.
So shout out to our EMS crews who've been very busy with, there's been fires all over the place, it seems like, and unfortunately, I know law enforcement had to deal with that car accident recently. So to your people, we appreciate that. And if they need anything from what they've been dealing with, please let us know. I know it's not easy to deal with some of that stuff. And then the tempo has obviously increased quite a bit as well. So thank you for them doing. That's really all I've got.
Good job.
To follow up on that, with the, staff appreciation on February fifth, board members, let me know if you plan to attend. We're just waiting to hear back from a couple of departments. We have over 30 people that have, indicated that they will be there, hopefully more the merrier. Also, there is a new Facebook page regarding the Route 7 traffic.
Yes.
So I'd encourage folks to be a part of that.
The
As soon as
DOT project.
Gordon, yep,
Yeah.
Gordon Construction will be given updates, that sort of thing. And last but not least, there is a mail slot over there for board members. I'm not sure if people are familiar, but if mail comes here, that's our
We
little
all have our own folder with our.
own
names
little
on it,
folder,
yeah.
correct. There's no money in it, but you know.
Who will be attending on February 5th? I will.
Oh, okay. Anyone else?
Steve?
Steve, three,
Steve?
four, five.
Emery?
I'm gonna
It's
try.
noon to 2.
I'll see if I can, yeah, I'll
Okay.
see if I can.
Yeah, see if you can bring some, okay.
Oh, just give me a number, that's fine, I can.
Well, I'm gonna make a couple of.
And I'm doing chocolate chip cookies, so
All right.
hold on.
So it looks like
Enjoy.
we'll have good attendance.
We should, yes.
February second, you said?
Fifth,
February 5th.
Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
You
from
can show
noon
up on the
until 2.
second.
But you can come on
You'll be
second.
all by yourself.
Groundhog's Day.
We really appreciate you, Tracy.
Okay.
Other comments
thank
from the board? Yes, Chris.
Observation.
Mhm.
Over the last 6 months, I've been working in Puritan. So I'm coming into town at 3:30 in the morning. And it has got to be the darkest, dankest thing I've ever driven into. There's like nothing. Street lamps don't amount to anything. It's very dark and very dreary. Just an observation.
Oh.
Just want to throw it out there.
So you come back at 3:30 in the morning, huh?
No, I leave at 3:30.
Oh, so you leave at 3:30.
I punch in at 4 AM, come back at 3 PM.
I know we brought it up, we talked before about some of the lights in town, and there's been a thing about, I guess, what rating they are and stuff like that, but maybe we should look at, as things are changing, if we need to look at different, I guess, size light or type. Cause I agree, it can be very dark, and that's on a good day. I mean, if it's raining or something, and
Oh, God.
there've been times I've been through about the same time, and someone was walking in the middle of the road, don't ask me why. And thankfully I saw when I got close enough, but you know, if someone is on their phone or heading to Mayo with a kid that's sick in the back seat, I could see them accidentally hitting someone that, you know, shouldn't be in the road, but that's not the point. We should have.
Just an
Yeah.
observation.
So, and to go back to the past, we did take over all the streetlights 10 years ago, is that right? And at that time, what was the idea on illumination power?
Yeah, I think the idea was on residential streets to have the lighting really low,
Low, right.
low, so that it's not, invasive for people's homes. I think that might be a different thing on Route 15 or whatever you're talking about, Tracy, but, the approach to the hospital, et cetera, but we were conscious of not wanting really brightly lit residential streets for all the reasons we don't want.
Tracy, I think it would be helpful if, when you're doing this, if you do it frequently,
5 days a week.
because the spacing between some of the lights is also an issue. I mean, they're not all right up. There could be some areas that are more tweakable than others. So just, I guess, I would think the really good thing would be to kind of note where you start feeling like you should be seeing things and you're not. And then notice if it kind of goes, up or down as the lights get closer together or further apart. Because I believe we do have some capacity to up the output before we would have to start swapping out, parts of the picture. So we haven't adjusted, Jack, we haven't adjusted in a long time, but
So, we haven't really, I think we do have some adjustable ones over across from FA because they're on the opposite. Ideally, you're lighting the sidewalks so the pedestrians can see. And in front of FA, you have the poles are on the opposite side of the road, so we increase the intensity of those lights because they have to travel further to the sidewalk. But one thing you have to remember is we have shrouded lights. And the idea of a shrouded light is to direct the light downward so that it's supposed to appear darker to the driver because you're not blinding them with glare. Sometimes if precipitation and lights, it gets kind of glary, but it's directing it down instead of, at the driver. Unshrouded lights are really the same as they were before. We just upgraded the Cobra head to an LED. Save on the energy cost. So I think a lot of the discussion was like light temperature, meaning the orange lights are kind of a low temperature, and then you get into the whiter, the yellow, then you get into a whiter light, and then a blue light is sort of a high temperature. And then the blue lights and the white lights appear brighter. They probably are brighter to a degree. But people complain of like headaches and, that's, like, you get blue light filters on your phone and stuff because there's the whole issues with the blue light. So the color temperature is actually warmer than it used to be. I think we went to 3000 K versus 2700 K. We went up a little bit. But I think the big difference when you're driving in town is the shrouds, and that light's directed down, not at you.
My observation was simply when you drive in from South Street, that intersection is just as dark as anything can be. That whole intersection. And it's, like Joel said, if somebody's walking across the street, my truck's got bright enough lights on it so it doesn't bother me, but I will see them. But somebody that's not, sick child, we'll say, or somebody in the passenger seat that needs to get to the hospital. They might not see somebody walking across the street.
So when you're switching out, you can just switch out to a whiter light, and that will brighten things up a lot. You could do whiter and a higher intensity, or you could just unshroud some of them. You got some options.
I just thought I would bring it up.
Oh, no, it's interesting. I think we all kind of have noticed some areas are darker, but we got used to it.
Well, I drive into that every morning. It's like, man, I can't believe it's this dark right in the center of town.
Yeah, I think it's important to think about, maybe that's an area we would want to have brighter, but we don't necessarily want that on Winter Street or Lincoln Street or, so being mindful of the public way more, when people.
That intersection right in the middle of Union Square, that will be a place that we can follow the light without alienating people. Yes, ma'am.
And then on the opposite side, going down Park Street by CMP, ironically. There's
Yes.
one there that I need to get out my sunscreen.
Wow.
Because that's
Too bright.
like right out in the street.
Oh,
And the same
leaving here,
at Butterfields. When you're coming down there at night, you get sunglasses on, because it's like, okay, are you trying to light your parking lot or are you trying to blind people? So I don't know if the wind shifted something, but on the opposite end, there's some bright lights.
Well, I think we could safely blame Dave Johnson for that, because he was in charge of
Because he's
that
not
project
here.
and he's no longer here. So I would assign culpability to him.
Tom said. Right then.
But it's nice to hear. I'm not usually walking around all that much at 3:30 AM, so it's good to hear Tracy providing what the town is like.
Yeah, I think we also do have, an ordinance around what, lights need to be pointed down. So we're not, leaving, we're not having.
Dark sky.
light
Jack
pollution.
Paddock was a big proponent of
Absolutely.
putting the lights down.
We
but
need
he
to
was
remember that.
way too
And
strong.
I know when the new market went in at Foxcroft, I complained like 14 times to Brian. And he said they'd already spent so much money on their lighting that we weren't gonna ask them to change them, but we do need to be mindful of that. That's a horror show when you come down into town from the Bangor Road. It's terribly bright. So I think there's a balance in all this, and we want people to be safe, but we don't want people to, and we
It
do
won't be
have
like
to-
Vegas, right?
Well, or the way it used to be. I didn't like driving up South Street at night. Sorry, not South Street, Summer Street. It was like five different shades of orange and yellow, and it was really distracting.
Good point, though. I'm right.
So just before we move on,
Do you have a comment on lighting?
I do, because
Okay, yeah.
we do need to be clear that this isn't other lighting, like you're talking about, seeing different flood lighting and stores with flood lighting. It is purely the street light.
Streetlights.
And I've not ever said anything about it because I assumed it was quite a project that went on when those very pretty lights were put into town. I'm sure they were expensive. But I walk to work every day and in the dark at the moment. And on the other end of that, if I happen to walk down to mountains at 8 o'clock on a winter night, you can't see between the streetlights on the sidewalk, and it is the better part of dangerous. So I think that the streetlights we need to keep that balance of not too bright, and maybe the other streets might be a little on the, I mean, they direct straight down. If you talk to Steve Robinson, I don't believe there's adjustment in them. I think he said there's no adjustment. And the shroud, and you can't move the shroud. I didn't think from his comments. So you can't make them better. And on our main roads like West Main, where I do live, and I don't want it lit up like a Christmas tree, but it's pretty dark. If you're not right underneath one of those lights, and I'm not sure how that affects the driving, but West Main and East Main are all pretty dark.
We don't have a Department of Public Illumination.
No.
So, that was a project that was done by administration here in the town office. Don't want to throw that on the Public Works plate, so. All right.
But it's a good conversation, because
Yeah.
we have people moving here, we want businesses to come
Right.
here, and
Yeah.
but right now it's winter and hasn't been much of a winter comparatively, so we haven't had the influx of people.
Right.
But when we do, higher risk, of course.
Steve?
Just on that note, what Emery said, I think it's also important to look at the amount of pedestrian traffic in some of these areas, because like Emery said, between 7 and 8 in the winter, there's people walking.
Right.
There's kids that will walk down mountains, from FA. They don't all go to Irving, so.
Right.
So that stretch probably could use some attention, because he is right. There's some pretty big stretches where there are no streetlights and it's pretty dark. And as much as we like people to walk on the sidewalk, we also have some issues occasionally with people walking on the roadside, particularly after a snowstorm, if they feel like the sidewalk is icy because somehow the road's gonna be better, I'm not sure how, but that's a thing. And, so maybe that's something to also consider in this equation, is the amount where there tends to be more pedestrian traffic. Downtown, certainly, especially at that intersection where you have hats and those areas probably could use some more lighting. Where we see, as a matter of fact, when I was coming here, there was a group of kids on the bridge going over the river, and you didn't see any of them until you were right there going over the bridge. So I do agree with both, the sentiment of both, that there are some areas that certainly need to use more lighting.
And we know the heavily pedestrian areas are the Lincoln Main Street Loop and Main Street both sides and North Street, so it's pretty easy to identify that. Yeah, go ahead, Sue.
I'm just wondering if it doesn't belong to Public Works and it doesn't belong to any other town department.
Administration would be a good committee to look into that. You know anybody on that committee?
I do, but I don't know who's gonna do the adjusting work, so, okay.
We can at least find out.
Yeah.
Well, so, when we have a street light out on Northern Line, we'll do the
Through the line will
maintenance.
do that. Right?
And so they can be the one to switch out bulbs, or I think there's certain bulbs that can adjust, like you may have to do it actually at the bulb. And I think that's what they were talking about on the FA stretch there. But there are the ones that can make the changes to the lights we would want, take shrouds off, we want to get rid of them, switch them out to, the Cobra head style, where you see on the side streets, anything that's shrouded, have that Cobra head style. You do that, so. I think it's, or just add lights, if you have poles without lights, add some more lights. in
More
the
lights
areas.
in the dark spot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good conversation. Glad you brought that up.
Well, we have the big project that's gonna redo a lot of downtown.
Well,
Let's do all that at the same time, yeah.
Well, I mean, we could ask them, they're gonna have to move some stuff anyways, maybe that's a really good opportunity. If we based on what everything looks like right now, that's all gonna change too. So.
So the village partnership, we're still waiting for the preliminary report on that. That should be here any.
Yeah, they just, had us extend the phase we were in until the end of March, so they can get all the wrap up, the final, concept plan to us, and then they'll move into the detailed design phase, probably later in the spring.
So street lighting should be
I think we-
part of that discussion.
Oh,
I think so.
I'm sure it's on there.
Okay.
Any other comments from select board members? Let's move on. Adjustments to the agenda, we do have one under new business. I'd like to add item A, which would be the appointment of an interim town manager. And that would push the other items, the sewer billing, to item B, and the town manager's report to item C. Committee reports, you've had several recently. Back at the dam committee, continue its review, and you have your public meeting coming up on February 4th at 6 o'clock at Central Hall. Anything new to add on that, Steve?
Nope, we're all just collating all of our stuff. We did a dry run in our last meeting and
Word is getting out among the public. The Mr. Durban was nice enough to have a
Yeah.
banner headline stretching across the front page a couple weeks ago.
yeah, I'm hoping that we'll get at least as many people as showed up for the final public hearing that of the previous, the January meeting.
I'm looking forward to this one because I'll be sitting in the audience.
I know.
Maybe I'll get up into the upper gallery as you did the last time.
Yep.
I can look out.
Maybe we just ask helpful questions.
Right. Yes, Dave.
I think a question was asked from the public regarding, will it be recorded? So my sense is, as best we can, explore what the facility has for technology as well as, the presentation, if in fact it's going to be.
Oh,
handed
that's
out.
our communications director to comment on.
Well, I'm actually gonna be heading over tomorrow afternoon and we'll run through with Tammy and try to figure things out to see if it can be recorded. And then also test slides and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you, Elsie. And as I mentioned earlier, we have had committee meetings, including recently the protection committee and the promotion and development committee. That budget is all coming together and getting ready, as David asked, for the meetings scheduled to be planned out in March. Moving forward. Any unfinished business anyone wants to return to? All right, let's go into the new business. So the first is the appointment of an interim town manager. This is Jack last full week here. Friday is his last day, Jack. First of all, we want to thank you for 21 years of service to the town of Dover-Foxcroft. He has not yet announced where he's going next, but that is should be known and that'll be shared by Jack at the appropriate time. We've had some thoughts on interim town manager. We have someone who's actually agreed to that position. So who would like to make that motion?
I would move that we appoint Elsie as the interim town manager.
Alcina Runstein.
Second?
I refrain from saying the last name, because I never say it.
Yeah, I'm Massachusetts.
No offense.
Alcina B.
Yeah,
Right.
well, there are no LLCs, so.
I believe you're the only Alcina who's got it.
I'm the only one in the US.
There is another Brennan school all over.
Yes, there
Happens to
is.
be your.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Alcina is a natural and obvious choice, I think, for the position. She has been with us for 6 months now as communications director / project manager. Jack has been sharing and offloading, downloading his brain into her brain so that she knows all about our projects. I've enjoyed working with her very much, and I'm sure that she has every capability we're looking for to get us through this period. How long the period will be, we do not know yet. I would suggest it's going to be at least 4 weeks and maybe a little longer. But we are in the interview stage with candidates, and I think we're coming toward the finish line. I can see it looming into sight. We've interviewed a number of people. We've received over 40 resumes now, and I think we've got some good finalists going forward. I have every confidence that Alcina will be on the court for us while we're getting to the end of that.
She's working on,
Yeah,
she'll stop.
staff before, that's true. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor? Thank you, Alcina.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, and going on to other exciting business, we have our sewer billing. I like how you go from HR manager to sewers, okay? That's why I wanted to put her ahead of the sewers. So
Appreciate that.
At least we can do it for.
Put that in the minutes. She comes from sewer.
More important than the sewer billing. So, we need a motion to approve the 2025 third quarter sewer bill.
Motion to approve it.
Oh, thank you.
Second?
Okay. All those in favor? All right. Jack, final comment.
Just a few things.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about Lincoln Street Bridge, but the other bridge we've been working on for some time and expect to be in position to see a project happen is on Autumn Avenue. There's a pre-bid meeting last week with a number of attendees, and we'll have bids delivered to us and open later this week, and you'll have a recommended award at your next meeting on February 10th. And then things can be, kind of planned in terms of timelines for when that will happen. But there's certain timelines that the environmental permitting will require. I think it's sometime between July 1st and the end of September. So that's the window. And I think that earlier that's crowded up in the summer. The easier it will be on the bus traffic on Autumn Avenue. They'll have to avoid that if there's any conflict in that project. But that is in the works.
I have a
And-
question.
Yep.
The source of that funding, what is the source of that?
So that we have bridge reserve accounts that we budget for, and we expect to be able to cover that with the funds we've raised for bridges. So we've not received any SEDS grants for Autumn Avenue, or we received a DEP environmental grant for Grove Street, but this was not a high priority habitat to get one of those. We did look at grant opportunities, but we've not pegged one to that one. So that's where we have funding for. SEDS grant, and then some supplemental funding will be needed for Lincoln Street. I think it's very plausible that both of those projects could happen in 2025, but the SEDS funding is available in 2026 for Lincoln Street if it spills over into that. We got some good news from the Water District last week that they have $1 million of funding toward their West Main Street water main upgrade from the Northern Border Regional Commission's grant program. And I know that the Water District's got a very high priority on that water main upgrade, and that was a key piece of funding that they needed. So hopefully everything else that they're waiting for falls in place. That's a huge piece of good news. And we are getting close to having a final report on our gravel road study and bridges and culvert study. I've seen a draft report on the gravel roads, and what they're doing now is they're going to show us what a 10-year plan looks like versus 5, just so that we can have some flexibility on how we implement it, because we may not always be in a position to fund year 1 of a 5 versus year 1 of a 10, or whatever year. So waiting on that piece, but that should all be finished up in February before March, and we get into the budget committee stuff.
Who's doing that?
Gore Palmer,
Okay.
same one that did our sidewalks, same one that did our paving. Yep, and just mentioning correspondence, we have the latest newsletter from the Municipal Review Committee. They'll update us on what's happening in Hamden. with that, trash disposal facility. And I think there's also an agenda included of one of their meetings that I think is this week. And I think they offer them both in person and on Zoom, if anybody wants to attend remotely or in person. Whatever. The whole process is moving along as well. Well, I have officially just like to say again that I've appreciated my opportunity to serve Dover-Foxcroft over the last 21 years, and really appreciate the support I've had from the board and boards over the years, and staff and community, and really think there's a lot of great things happening now and are going to continue to happen, and looking forward to you know, my next chapter, but certainly appreciate everything that I've been able to do and contribute towards here in Dover-Foxcroft. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Are you gonna be staying in Dover-Foxcroft as a?
Yeah, I'll be a resident. I'll be.
We'll be out there.
You see me,
Oh,
you might
geez.
see me, you know.
Yeah, I was wondering if, we're coming back here and be harassing us.
Now
Yeah.
you can lodge complaints about the Bolton Road.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. But I'll at least know. I'll know a little bit more about, you know, maybe, you know, what the problem is. But yeah, I can have a different perspective, but I'm not going far.
Okay.
I'm thinking of how you can volunteer. I'm gonna work on that.
Yeah, give that some
Give
thought.
the guy a break.
Yeah. Well, I guess he could be a town manager in other communities, still be on the select board here.
Oh.
It might be an opening.
You could be on, you could be many.
You really have to be a glutton for punishment.
Probably not. Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah, smart man.
Yeah.
No, but Jack, I mean, I think we're all, we all
That's-
appreciate,
yeah.
your service, and I know that I've enjoyed working with you very much. And just knowing you over the last. Okay, correspondence, as Jack mentioned, we have the information on the municipal review committee and how that's going forward. We have an option for closing remarks by a member of the public here. Do you have anything else to say, folks? Dr. Farlow, you're just here for the pure entertainment value?
Actually, Are you
Well, I have a
entertained?
question. You have a timeline for the next comprehensive plan review.
That just came up actually. Steve, you're the.
Well,
know stuff about
for the comp plan, we're a number of years away. I would have to consult.
We're in year 9.
Geez, it feels like we're.
You said we just did it.
No. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to, well, we've been revising, it's an interesting point. We spent a number of years in a row revising the core of it, the land use, subdivision, things like that. So,
I think it was 2008.
geez, it feels like it was just yesterday.
How time flies.
But it's a good question. We should take a look and figure that out. We're also coming up on needing to look over the charter again. That is, we're overdue for that.
No. I
No?
think it's within 3 years.
Yeah.
But doesn't the comp plan have to be done every 10?
Yeah, anyway, it's, I can't remember the exact date. I looked it up
Oh,
recently, but
Oh,
it
geez,
struck me that
don't even
we're
tell me
coming
10
up
years
on
has
10
gone
years.
by.
So I just wanted to kind of put it out there.
Well, just feel like.
Because I know it
Just
takes
voted
time
on
to
it.
organize the committee and all that stuff.
Oh, we'll have to make that, put that on the list for whoever's the next town manager here, though.
And
Well-
there's, sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, there's, Sean here has his hand raised.
Sure, go ahead, sir.
I think I can see his face.
We can see you, but we can't hear you.
Hang on.
There you go.
We are-
Oh,
There he
you're
is, there he is.
muted again.
Use it again.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, I brought up the question too, with people around town about the comprehensive, plan committee, because I know, Dexter's doing it and theirs is still a couple years out. And I was wondering too, if you guys had, was gonna, think about maybe getting that committee together. I know it takes a year plus of, a lot of work, a lot of research to get involved in doing that. And I know the charter being a couple years out, but definitely the comprehensive plan is coming up, and hopefully, the community will get some involvement in that. I know I have some interest in trying to get on that committee as well, so hopefully, we get some action on that.
We'll keep your name in consideration. So, the dam committee and the comprehensive plan committee, you really, okay. A better man than I am.
We've, and we do have a consultant that our consultant that has been doing a lot of the comprehensive plan stuff with us over the years.
Hilton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she retired,
Mhm.
but handed us off to somebody she's worked with, and we did one small tail end of the project and was impressed by them, so, we know who to go to.
Any, final comments by board members?
I will.
Henry?
At the risk of getting in trouble with, the town departments, I know admin's probably wonderful, the guys at the transfer station are always great. The police and fire and all that, they're always giving great praise, but, this week I had the opportunity to sit down with, the public works guys. And, the 6 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 of them, whatever there are. Just a great bunch of guys dedicated to town. Talk to it about being like a family that works there. They come in, they do the job, they get the job done, and they go home and rest and come and do it again. They talked very highly of working for the town, and they spoke, it just was really good sitting there with them thinking, these guys are doing our work in town, guys. They need their praise as well, as well as admin and
Right.
all the other departments. I know that.
Yeah,
Sitting there with those
we
guys.
had a chance to take one of the candidates for the town manager position around the town and see the different workplaces, and it was very gratifying to me. And I'm very felt the same way, that we've got some really good people working for the town of Dover-Foxcroft in all of our departments. We should be very proud of that. And they take great pride in their jobs too. So I like to see that feeling of ownership they have on what they do. It's good, positive.
And that candidate had nothing but wonderful things to say about our.
Well, we have a wonderful town. So, a smart assessment. Let's see.
Just to confirm, it does look like November 2016, which was yesterday. In my defense, that was not 10 years ago.
It's only 9 years.
Yeah, but it is coming up. The land use is only 2 years old, and that is the core of the comp plan. So, just saying that we absolutely need to go through the whole process. Fortunately, the most complicated, lengthy, like year and a half, I think we spent on that. That part is relatively fresh. So it never hurts to take another look at it and dust it off, but we do not need to fundamentally redo that as we have just recently done it.
Didn't I see that Gwen Hilton's coming up and reviewing something with Landis?
No, she retired.
I know, but I saw it in the paper. I thought this week. Is there some meeting coming up with Gwen?
Is she might, if she's doing consulting, she might be doing it for someone else
In the next.
in a limited amount. Was it for the
I thought
town?
there was a meeting, put it down in my calendar.
She could still be doing a little bit of work in her, retirement, but I don't think she's.
Well, the land use
Doing it
committee
for us.
is on ice right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know who she would be doing the consulting for.
Okay.
And keep for the minutes, the charter was adopted on June 13th, 2017.
Yeah, so coming up. And that one, unlike the comp plan, that one hasn't been touched since.
No.
So.
We noted things, but
Any other comments from the board? All right, when we close the comment period, we do have an executive session scheduled for go over some personnel issues related to the leadership transition here in town. So who would like to make the motion for that?
And I can, move that we go into executive session pursuant to MRSA Title I, 405(6)(a).
Second?
It should not be long. All those in favor?
Don't say that.
No, I know, I'm saying it, and I know. Okay, thank you for all attending.
Thank you, everyone.